But let's move into 1 through 10. And again, these are not our actual rankings. We will be giving our opinions into these rankings. If you have a problem with these rankings, these 1 through 10 rankings, we understand, and we also do. But these are our 1 through 10 rankings from after ranking the point guards in the NBA, the starting point guards, the starting shooting guards, the starting small forwards, starting power forwards, centers, the 6 men for teams, not starting 6 men.
The starting 6 men, as our title said.
We always do for our titles. We did that last year too. And our coaches, the starting coaches, for every single team. At number 10, we have the Nuggets with 129 points. That's going to be a weird jump because that was a cut. We cut, and you probably can tell that we cut, but that's going to be a weird cut from me going like, and at number 10. But at number 10, we have the Nuggets with 129 points. At 9, we have the Bucks with 129 points. At 8, we have the Spurs with 132 points. At 7, we have the Pelicans with 132 points as well. At 6, we have the Sixers with 133 points. At 5, we have the Rockets at 137 points. At 4, we have the Indiana Pacers with 147 points. At 3, we have the Clippers with 148 points. At 2, we have the Celtics with 149 points. And at number 1, the best team in the NBA, no doubt about it. Last year, it was the Warriors with 193 points. And this year, from Utah, the Utah Jazz with 153 points.
So, to be fair,
I say we just kick it to Dave because he said last segment he was so high on the Jazz.
To be fair, their starters are really high above average. Like, wins above replacement, I think, is, the hilarious baseball stat they use.
War,
yes, wins above replacement. I think the Jazz literally are the spin image of that in the NBA. Like, you added in a great talent in Mike Conley at point guard. You've got Donovan Mitchell, incredibly young talent. You added in, you have Joe Ingles. You added on top of that Bojan Bogdanovic, and you still have one of the best defensive players in the NBA in Rudy Gobert. Like, they are incredibly strong. And then head coach, pretty good guy. I look at this team across the board, and I'm not shocked that they're this high, but I do want to, again, mention the fact that the Warriors were at 193 last year, and the next closest team was what? Like
170-something?
170-something. This year, it's 153 at the top end.
It was 167 for the Celtics.
Yeah. So, like, it's a lot more squished together this year as far as the individual talent per position. But, yeah, no, I think really, this Jazz team is just so top-loaded with talent, and any one of those guys, given the chance, can really go off. So I'm impressed with the team. I'm surprised they're 1, but at the same time, like, their bench has depth issues, yes, but like their top end starters are fantastic.
Should they be the dark horse in the West?
They are definitely a dark horse in the West.
Like,
well,
could you
let's
see that?
define dark horse.
Could you see them
Not the
take,
Clippers or the Warriors?
I was going to say, could you see them
Lakers.
taking down a Kawhi and Paul George in a best of 7?
Yeah, I could.
Like, that's what I mean by dark
Yes.
horse. Could they, if they went up against, let's say, LeBron and the Lakers, I'll throw the Nuggets in there because we expect them to be a top 2
anyone in a best
team.
of 7.
Yeah.
I think they have a chance. I don't think they're
I wouldn't favor
favorites, but yeah. I think they've got a chance in any given series in the Western Conference.
You have a great head coach. You have a very savvy veteran guard in Mike Conley. We see what his teams and the Grizzlies have been able to do to top seeds before in the NBA. You have a great defensive center in Rudy Gobert who can take on guys like Anthony Davis. The spots I would worry would be, Bojan versus, Kawhi or Paul George. But I would say that he did a phenomenal job against the LeBron 2 years ago in the Eastern Conference first round. So they do have spots at every single position. Actually, honestly, the spot that probably worry the most would be Donovan Mitchell.
Really, I think you're giving
Maybe
Joe
Joe
Ingles too much credit there. Joe is great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, fuck that.
If
he was going up against Paul George,
but he is not in the Paul George category.
Absolutely wrong. Yeah. I was absolutely wrong there. Yeah. I know.
He's
I worry about
starter,
Mitchell's.
But he's also
I worry about
got,
Mitchell's
like,
efficiency. That's what I would say. But yeah, no.
But now he doesn't have to take inefficient shots because he's got so many other guys around him.
I take that
who can
back.
take the offensive load. That was the thing. Last year they went cold because they couldn't create for themselves. They couldn't create for each other. This year you've got a true point guard out there being able to lead them. You've got another guy who can get his own anytime you need him to, in Bojan Bogdanovic, as we saw in the playoffs last year. So I'm super excited for this team. Yes, absolutely, they're the dark horse of the West, and they can give anybody shit in a 7-game series.
Let me put it this way: odds to win the finals. Are you giving them any skin in the game, any percentage to win it all? Because that means you got to beat Eastern Conference teams too. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Who in the East would I be afraid of
Bucks.
this year? No,
It's probably
I'll
the
take the
only
Jazz
team.
over the Bucks.
Really?
Okay.
Yes,
I take
Why
the
is that?
Bucks.
because we just watched them get rid of their most efficient shooter, and they got rid of Nico as well. So it's like, okay, you didn't get better at all. I'm
Giannis
sorry.
is going to shoot threes, man.
Giannis shooting threes is the only way this team gets better. Because I don't know if Brook Lopez can have another really efficient year shooting like 7 threes a game. I don't think Eric Bledsoe gets better. I don't think Chris Middleton's getting better. I don't understand how this team gets better. I think, yes, Giannis will carry them through the regular season, but in a playoff series, I will absolutely take the Jazz over them.
I don't know, man. I mean, you have Giannis, and he's such a game
I
changer. I think that, and what would you do too with Brook Lopez beyond the arc? Are you putting Rudy Gobert out there, or are you keeping Rudy Gobert home to defend the rim?
I would probably put Rudy Gobert on Giannis.
I would take Giannis in that situation.
Defensively? But I mean, like,
Yeah.
he can just help. You can just have Bojan go one-on-one with Giannis defensively and have Gobert cheat off. And, like, yeah, you're going to give Brook some open looks, but, like, if you're going to beat me with Brook Lopez, fine. I'll take that as the Utah Jazz, as our strategy is. Go ahead and try to beat us with Brook Lopez. Because the odds of him continuing to shoot as well as he is from the outside on the volume that he is pretty low.
But that's when Rolo starts shooting.
But
it's when Rolo changes
I still think that he could be fairly.
I think he's going to do it, but like I just don't see him winning a series for the Bucks. I don't see anyone on that team winning a series for the Bucks other than Giannis or Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton, I'm not even.
But
that
I think
high on,
what I think is that your best defender being a center, and the fact that they could stretch that player out to the end,
but their
and if
second
they
best
have him
defender,
on there,
he's a wing who is long and agile and who can play
but then
well
you have
against
Chris
Giannis.
Mid versus Giannis as well. Like you have both of those guys are wings, and you're gonna have Bojan and Joe Ingles both play
Joe
defense
Ingles
on this
isn't a
guy.
slacker on defense either.
I don't
He
know.
I'm gonna check the rating before I say it out loud. I'm just saying.
No,
like,
he's a very good defender. I'm not. You don't have to prove it. I know he
Yeah.
is. I'm just saying, like we had
Jay's
the,
like,
we had the discussion
he
though
had like
that,
a 107 defensive rating.
but we had the
last year.
discussion just 2 seconds ago that he wouldn't be able to handle Paul George. And
Yeah.
I know Chris Middleton isn't Paul George
They're not
defensively, but he's fairly good offensively. And I know that
Only
he's not
against
like
the
20.
Celtics.
Huh?
Only against the Celtics.
That's not
from
true.
2 years ago.
Okay, relax. It's not true at all. Chris Middleton's a very capable
Didn't
scorer.
deserve the All-Star vote.
I think that I would still favor the Bucks in that situation.
not.
Anyways, Jazz though probably not favored in the Western Conference. Probably not favored to be a number 1 seed. Wouldn't be shocked if they were. If they had just one of those seasons like the Nuggets did last year. But I wouldn't put them in a situation to be a finals winning team, or at least favored. They're not in my top 5. So we can take down the number 1 team. Let's go down the list to the Celtics next at 2. Another team, Dave, that you were absolutely low on throughout these whole rankings. I was super high on them, but I'm not this high on them.
Can I get the Celtics FIBA report? How are they doing in FIBA, Dave?
7.
Fucking shit. How can you no-show a FIBA tournament harder? Like, I respect the guys who didn't show up more than the guys who did.
Oh.
Dang. No, I don't really mean that, but like, I am uber disappointed the fact that they weren't able to play well in the tournament. It's incredibly disappointing to have a head coach as good as Greg Popovich is and not be able to put out a winning product in a game that we invented, basically, and we've had the top talent in the world for how long? And all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, we can't even care to put out our C team can't win over other countries. You know, fucking 38-year-old Luis Scola is out there murdering people left and right.
Sign him back.
Like, what the shit, people?
Bring him back. Bring him back.
Like, I'm either going to blame Pop for being a bad coach, which we know isn't true, or you blame the players for not taking it seriously enough, or you blame the players for not being good enough on an international court with international rules. Like, either way, it doesn't look good for the U.S., and because many of those players are Celtics, it really doesn't look good for them.
Here's going to be a dumb question.
Zero impact in the regular season, though.
And this plays into that more than the Celtics. I just wanted to ask this. Because I saw today that like Steph Curry committed to the Olympics
Yeah, him
next
and
summer.
Dave both said it.
Is that like, because I can't even think about what happened 4 years ago.
Yep.
Is that kind of like a reaction to what just happened where it's like, you know what? I might have decided to take off to let some of the younger vets play, but you know what? We got to win this, so I'm going to commit to it.
It's the Olympics. I think they were going to play in the Olympics regardless of if this team won or lost. It was just a matter of, like, there's no reason for U.S. players to go to the FIBA tournament because there's no stake in the game. You can only look bad, and that's exactly what they did.
Or
Because
get hurt.
or get hurt. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's only negatives if you go play in FIBA for U.S. Superstars. If you beat teams by 30, like, yeah, we expected you to. Like, that's what you do to bad players with basketball. But when you go out there and get embarrassed by teams,
But I mean, getting back to the Celtics, the thing I'm intrigued for them this year, or intrigued about them, because 2 years ago we were so high on them after they were this close to
knocking
beating
off
LeBron James and going to the NBA Finals from the East.
Got that two budding superstars in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Then the next year, it's like, how far could this team fall from grace from where they were to where is it going to be better with Kemba? Was Kyrie the problem? Like, I want those questions answered.
On the court.
Yeah, hashtag on the court. These are going to be answered, and I can't wait to see them answered this year.
Well, we know our first T-shirt. If we ever make T-shirts, if we ever make merch, it's 100% going to be on the court.
Hashtag on the court. You got to put that hashtag.
We'll decide about the hashtag. I find hashtags to be cheesy, but also fuck it. Let's put 4 hashtags on that. Let's move to the next one, and it's probably the best team in the NBA, being the Clippers.
Yeah.
We all think that they're the best team. Like, if we were doing our own personal rankings, would you power rank them number 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be hard there's no...
It'd be hard.
So at least they were 3, and I was shocked that they weren't number 1, to be honest with you. I don't understand how they didn't end up being number 1. They did have a 5 for their center, being Ivica Zubac, but even then, if we put Trez Harrell there, they probably would have been number 1.
Yeah. And Pat Bev being middle of the pack with the point guards.
Pat Bev deserves to be middle of the pack.
That's about where he should be.
I know,
Same with Shamet.
It's like, those are the only 2 areas that they could gain points.
Yeah,
in
but
the
they
rankings.
were. No,
they were worse with... Who would improve their ranking?
if we ranked Pat Bev higher than where he was.
But why wouldn't
he
Shamet? Shamet was lower than him at 13 points.
Okay, either or. I didn't even look at
the
shooting
I'm
guard.
just
like any of those guys, if they were a little bit higher.
I didn't know if you were saying plug
if we
Lou
just
Will
give
in.
them...
Oh, no.
And that's why I was I would disagree. I think Pat Bev would be higher
I'm
than
just
Lou
saying,
Will.
if any of those guys who were low, Shamet, Pat Bev, the 5 in Zubac, if any of those guys were even a little bit higher, boom, they're number 2, number 1.
No, I mean, it's a lineup by choice. Like we said, we tossed out, they have a litany of different lineups they can go to because of their depth on the wing, because of their depth at the guard position. They just have so many different guys they can switch in and out of this starting rotation, and even just bench throughout the entire game. And you mentioned it, Montrezl Harrell definitely would have been probably 10 without looking at centers, somewhere in the 10, like 8 to 15 range, which would have put them there.
Yeah.
That's a lineup choice that they're making because they know that players like Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams can dominate every other bench unit. They've got a year of just proving that out there. They just shellac teams, and they have the 6th man of the year, the perennial 6th man of the year in Lou Will. And then Montrezl Harrell was like a runner-up. I think he was 4th. He was top. He was pretty high up in the voting for a while. So I look at this team, and by choice they can they can hook it up. But I think at the end of the day, it just needs to be a decision for them to go with the best lineup to give them the chance to win games. Because it's a long haul. You don't got to worry. You got to worry about the DNPs on this team. That's all it is. They're not going to be the best regular season record.
Yeah,
they'll be the DNP team.
You know what sounds very ironic to me?
Yeah,
is that you said. Because one of the biggest arguments about this team was where do we put who where, and I was a staunch defender of put like Paul George at the 2, Kawhi at the 4. We decided against that,
because Paul George is bigger than Kawhi Leonard.
Well, it's very
he's like 6'9".
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like
you said Paul George at the 2, and I'm like he's too big to play the 2 normally.
The thing that I find ironic is you said, oh well, if we did it the other way, and put then Harold at the 4, that they might have gotten enough because Paul George would have been higher. If we put him at the 2, would have been higher than where Shamet was, obviously. That would have got him more points, and then Harold would have got him more points. It's ironic to me that technically with the math of our rankings, that would be the better lineup mathematically, and this rankings is supposed to be like, oh, we have the best lineups right now out there for the teams.
But we
don't. I find it ironic.
We don't have the best lineups for all the teams. We have their choice, as the Clippers have made it known that, hey, we're going to do this because it gives us the best chance to win games. It's like last year when we had Lou Williams as a starter. Like, we know Lou Williams isn't a starter, but he was the better player. And we ate a bunch of shit from the comment section. Yeah. And I agreed with it because he's not a starter. We shouldn't have made him a starter. That's against their entire decision as a team and the logic that Doc runs with. So this year we respected it, put Lou Williams as a sixth man. We didn't count Montrezl Harrell for shit because he's not their sixth man and he's not a starting center. That's what it comes down to. It's just that's the lineup they choose to go with. That's what I will respect because it's Doc Rivers, who we highly respect.
I love Doc Rivers, and
we know.
He's the best.
We know.
All right, Dave, fuck off. Let's talk about some of these other teams then. 4 through 10. Obviously, we talk about teams that are ranked the right spot and stuff like that, but I think the biggest shocker to me would probably be the Sixers. We talked about this team having the second best starting lineup, and even with all of that, they ended up at 6. I was pretty shocked that they ended up at 6 because we are pretty much just ranking starting lineups and then one bench player, and they end up at 6. I was kind of shocked they weren't a little bit higher, and if you look at their first, their rankings from point guard to center, they do have, I think, probably the cumulative best. Oh no, they don't because the Jazz do.
The Jazz do.
But I they do have the second best. I was shocked that they got beat out by the Rockets, who have such a deficiency at both the power forward and the six-man rankings, or same with the Pacers, who did get Victor Oladipo helped into them, even though he's not going to start the season for them. Yeah. I was shocked they ended up at 6.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the fact that you said they have a great starting lineup, and that six-man gets them 4 points. I'm sorry, we don't really. James Ennis is an okay bench role player. That's about it. He's not going to come in and change a game. He had a couple moments during the playoffs where it looked like he could do that, but then no. Reality smacked him down. And that's the thing. It's this NBA team that is the 76ers this year is so dependent on Al Horford being able to be their guy to depend on if Joel Embiid is unhealthy or needs rest, or heavily winded. And we just saw the offseason, Joel Embiid lost all this weight. He's trying to be mobile. He's trying to not be gassed out by the end of the third quarter. So we'll see. But when it comes down to it, they're basically, we paid to get the veteran leadership of Al Horford in here because we know we can count on Al Horford. We paid to get a guy like Josh Richardson in this team because he's a quiet 3-and-D 2/3. He's exactly what we're looking for. He's a perfect fit for this team and this offensive and defensive skill set. I think they've made the right moves in the offseason, but when you look at the roster, like you said, it's just you don't have enough to go around to cover that six-man. And that's something that they can address mid-season, likely. I don't expect this team to stay pat throughout the whole year, so I see them adding some talent at some point throughout the year. Then on the other end, you still have Brett Brown. Mm-hmm. I know Ricky's a huge fan of.
We disrespected Brett Brown too, anyways.
You bring up the 6. It's easy to bring up the 6-man because that was the lowest ranking we had for them.
Yep.
But I think another thing that plays into this, that plays also into why the Pelicans are ranked highly, is the loss of J.J. Redick as well. Because if J.J. Redick's on this team, I believe he's slotted in at the 2 guard instead of Josh Richardson. And I don't know about you guys, but just looking at my personal rankings, if we put Redick in there instead of Richardson, I wouldn't have had J.J. Redick as the 16th best shooting guard. I'd probably have him a little bit higher, which, would it bring them to number 1? No, but it would bring
13
them
last year for us.
It would bring them a little bit higher, even if it's 13 like last year. That is a whole, Josh Richardson was 15, so okay, maybe 2-3 points. And I know you're saying Ricky, you're sitting there and you're really focusing in on something that is super small, but this is a team, let's see, since I'm doing this on my phone, they are, come on phone, they're the 6th thing, so really with that could bring them to 5, and they could be a top 5 team just with that alone. The big 3 were Richardson was in the middle, Horford could have been a little bit higher, he wasn't super high like the other positions, and then the 6-man like you've talked about.
Mm-hmm. I think overall, these rankings are flawed, and we know that.
We know they're.
It's a fun experiment.
I also don't think J.J. Redick's a better player than Josh Richardson. By a long shot.
No, I don't either. I think offensively he's probably a better fit for them because he could. Yeah, just because I think they need shooters around them.
But he got exploited.
He was relied too much by Brett Brown.
Yeah.
He got exploited, and also defensively. I think that's what you're talking about when he got exploited. He got exploited defensively too much. And Josh Richardson will be a better two-way player for them. Yeah. And I don't think that the reliance will be on J.J. Redick. It will be on Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid and the guys who should be taking shots.
Yeah, I think Toby's the big question mark for me. Like everybody else, I know exactly what I'm going to get out of them. I don't expect Ben Simmons to come out shooting threes. I don't expect.
No, apparently he's gonna.
Joel
see those
Embiid to play
workout
82
tapes.
games this year at 30 minutes a game. Like those are not realistic expectations. But if Tobias Harris can play like he did before he got traded, that would be really great, and that would be huge for this as a team because he had a disappointing end of the year, in my opinion. And I'm sure Jake, I know we've talked about it before, but like same exact feelings. It's like. He just did not find his role on that team after the trade.
And it was super weird too because his 3-point shooting fell off as well when becoming a 76er.
Yeah.
And it was just odd that he wasn't able to maintain that consistency. I think he'll be able to bounce back a little bit, like you're saying. I don't think that is the player that Tobias Harris was, and I do think we will see him step up a bit, but I don't know if it will be enough. And I think really the biggest improvement that we do need to see, and everyone knows that it is Ben Simmons. And it's not necessarily a shot. It's not a 3-point shot. It's just he needs to be able to, if he is going to be like that type of player, a player that consistently drives, he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to be a more attacking offensive player. He needs to be more of a threat scoring the basketball, whether that be actually shooting the ball or whether it be driving and attacking.
Be more like Giannis is what I'm hearing.
And yeah, I mean, that would be nice for anybody to be it, but if anyone has a shot, it could be Ben Simmons, more than me at least.
Definitely more than you.
I think that if he's able to take more of a step, Ben Simmons is offensively, that might take off pressure for Tobias Harris. But Tobias has been able to hit everywhere. So I think it was probably just a rough spot of the season, and that was really much it. I don't think it was anything about the situation that he was in or anything like that.
I think finding room for Ben meant Tobias stepped aside, and Jimmy kind of took over the spotlight at the end of the games. It's just Toby had shots. He just didn't make them. I don't know. That offense had some weird play calling. I'll call it play calling because you knew what Brett Brown was going to do. It was fairly predictable as far as the JJ Redick high screens. Everything about that was predictable.
Shall we go to JJ Redick's new team?
Yeah,
the Pelicans.
Great
way
transition.
too high. They're at 7.
Yeah.
Why are they this high? This is ridiculous. This is so stupid.
Yep.
This is so dumb. They should not be this high.
We like 2K.
They're at 7. They should not be higher than the Spurs, who've been a playoff team since I was born.
It's the gift that keeps on giving in Zion Williamson.
The Bucks, who were literally the best team in the Eastern Conference last year, and the Nuggets, who were the second best team in the Western Conference last year.
Yep.
This is stupid.
It's incredibly dumb.
It's stupid.
Yep. There's no disagreeing with you.
Why does this keep happening to us? Is it because of Ricky overrating Zion? I don't think so.
Drew Holiday was 4th.
I actually have a thing that another thing in our rankings that may be a little wrong that messes us up. It's not a big mess up, but you look at the Spurs and the Pelicans; they're both at 132.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't the Spurs be higher because of record?
Yeah, it's true.
I flipped that.
So the Spurs would be at 7 and the Pelicans would be at 8.
It unflipped when we fixed the rankings.
Yeah. Oh, so they put it back in alphabetical order.
Yeah. A to Z that shit.
Well, so it's a small
congratulations
change,
to Spurs.
Hey,
you guys are now the 7th team.
And the Pelicans.
Way to go.
But now Sean's happy because the Pelicans are one lower.
Well, fuck it. They shouldn't be the 8th team. It shouldn't be higher than the Bucks and the Nuggets. God damn it.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
If you take away 1 point, they're also lower than the Bucks.
What?
No, it's actually 3 points.
Yeah, you don't know how to do math.
3 points.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Man.
I looked upwards. 76ers are only 1 point ahead of the Pelicans and Spurs.
That's concerning.
Also,
so I need to rank Zion a little bit higher.
No.
We are so incredibly wrong on that.
Yeah, we have Zion.
What if they
coming
make the playoffs this year? What if?
How
10?
likely is it?
Yeah.
Zion was at 10. Oh.
How likely is it that they make the playoffs?
I mean, probably
you
like
talked
a
about
10%
it last year.
chance.
There's one spot that opens up.
Yeah, 10%.
Lakers are most likely going to take it. You think 10? I think 10%
What
is
would
too
you
high.
bet on it? What would you do if they make the playoffs? I'm not saying they will, but Sean Anderson
Pelicans
bet.
playoff tickets.
Okay. So Dave's just buying tickets.
Yep.
So if the Grizzlies
It's a win-win
make
for
it,
me.
if the Grizzlies make
I'm
it to
still
the
going to the
playoffs,
game.
we're going to the Grizzlies.
Yes.
What if the Grizzlies play the Pelicans?
Oh.
Do you
Who's
only,
the- who's
but
the
you
one
only
seed,
have to
who's the
buy
8 seed?
But you have to buy one game ticket.
No, he's got to buy both.
I-
We
no,
gotta
I'll
go
buy
one in
all three of
Memphis,
us.
one in Memphis,
No, but
one in New
I'm
Orleans.
saying if they play each other, do you get out of it by just going to one game?
No, you got to go one in each city then.
I'll honor as one in each city.
Okay, all right.
I'll go one home game each.
I've been to both cities. They're very nice.
Yeah.
Well, New Orleans is much nicer than Memphis. No, not to bash Memphis.
Nick's gonna come after you.
No, not to bash Memphis. I just like New Orleans better. New Orleans is the
got
one
such
thing
good
that
food.
Memphis does have over New Orleans is the smell.
Yeah, I was going to say,
smells
isn't it
better than New
smellier
Orleans.
in New Orleans?
It stinks.
Yes.
It's awful.
Public indecency is kind of the norm there, so yeah.
It's the river. It's the river. It's the river that is just full of shit and garbage, and is literally like nose level to you. It's not a great layout for a city, but it is beautiful outside of that.
Yep.
And the food is delicious, like you were saying.
That's why you're too drunk to realize the smell of New Orleans, right?
Yeah. Anyways,
Still.
with this, I think the Pelicans are obviously too high, and
Yeah.
I this is why I really don't like the rankings. Is there a way that we can find around this to like not have this happen again?
Again, we look at them and they're so high because we have their shooting guard at 4. And Drew Holiday's good, but is he number 4 good? And same thing,
Yes.
Brandon Ingram is like 8. Brandon Ingram, we don't know if he's going to be healthy or not. We assume yes. Everything looks like yes. Hopefully the blood clot thing is sorted, and he is 110% healthy. And he returns to the form that we saw at the end of last year before he had to stop playing, where LeBron had turned over the keys, basically. And it was like, all right, B.I., you do you. And he was putting up like 28-point games. And just Brandon Ingram running an offense and being that sole ball holder, ISO guy worked out really well for him. And I don't know if he can do that on this team with this layout. It's a big question mark. But I think that's I when I put these rankings in, it's like, what's the best version of this player? What's going to be realistic? And somewhere between, like 16 points a game and 22 points a game would be where I'd put Brandon Ingram in my mind. So, like, yeah, top 10 small forward, sure.
Yeah, I think one thing, too, is I don't really know if J.J. Redick is that good of a six-man. And then I think also the big thing, too, with them is I don't know how all these players are going to mesh and mold together. So they might have all this talent, and even if they do hit their best peak performances, I don't know if that's going to mesh well enough because they don't have a ton of shooting. And that's where J.J. does provide a lot of impact to, is his shooting. But I don't know if he is exactly is going to turn that tide enough where you have Brandon Ingram, who isn't a deadly shooter from the outside, Lonzo, who isn't a deadly shooter from the outside, Zion, who isn't an outside shooter, Favors is an outside shooter. That is what I mainly worry about with them. Maybe they'll be like the Kings last year, where this is a team that can run and play at a very high speed and up-tempo style, but I don't know if they can be an outside shooting team, and I think that's what might kill them, because they can play defense and they can be up and exciting and fast and a quick team, but in the half court, I don't know where that shooting is going to come from, and they might be very clogged up. We did see that work for the Spurs last year, but I don't think they have the Spurs-like genius in Greg Popovich to make it work.
If you were to tell me last year after losing Anthony Davis, how many spots would the Pelicans fall? The answer is 2.
Zion almost equal AD? Question mark?
Oh, yikes.
Yikes is right. This,
Math is a beautiful thing.
Just incredibly biased takes on players
so
we really love.
Should we figure out which teams we're just naturally biased to? Obviously, the Bulls are one of them.
Bulls, Grizzlies, Pelicans.
Are we biased to the Grizzlies?
I am.
But
he is.
I don't think we've proven that, because you started to become biased to them.
Well, I
picked him to make the playoffs, and then you turned heel on them.
Dave is very WWE when it comes to the Grizzlies. One day he's a baby face. He'll come on the next week. No, Dave, why are you turning heel on me?
Just mic drop that piece of shit team.
The Jazz, I think, were probably overrated as well. Last year they were at 8, and now they're at 1.
I think
this Celtics,
legitimately their stars are that good.
To be the number 1 team, though.
No.
Okay.
They're not the number 1 team.
They should be top 10 for sure, but they didn't have these starters, and they were 8 last year.
Yeah.
That was too high for them, I think. And then also with that, we're typically overrating the Celtics.
Always overrate Celtics.
And I think we probably overrate the Wolves. So it's really just, and the Mavericks too. The Mavericks were at 11.
Do you say we overrate?
Overrate them.
Yeah. He's a fan of Dirk, therefore Dirk gets love. And even though Dirk's not on the team anymore, you got 3 Dirks now.
No, but I mean, like, they're in the 21 through 30 part, so how are they over?
They could probably be lower than that.
Yeah,
outside of Luka
Kristaps
and
Porzingis hasn't played a game in a year and a half.
The Wolves,
they were
the Wolves have got much
year.
room to go down. I mean, the Cavs, Wizards, and Hornets.
I was taking in last year as well.
Oh, last year, okay.
Mavericks and Wolves were 10 and 11.
I thought
I think even taking this in,
what?
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. I don't think that was.
Well, and Dirty Dirk was a top 10 power forward last year.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Anyways. These rankings are...
This has been a struggle.
Yeah, hot garbage. Let's talk about just teams that we think will be the number one team. If we have to
at the end of the
year, who will be the best team in the league, aka the finals winner. If you're wondering where the finals winner was last year, the Raptors, they came in at 14 last year. I think I want to make that 15 last year. No, 14 last year. And weirdly enough, the team that's there right now is the Golden State Warriors. Will the team that wins the NBA Finals be in the top 10? Who will it be?
Yeah, because it's going to be Clippers versus Bucks. One of them is going to win.
I agree that it's the Clippers. I think the 76ers are going to go. I think the 76ers are going to have an answer.
What type of answer?
They have better players.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like a Ben Simmons.
Giannis is here.
I didn't know if it was going to be a Ben Simmons jump.
The 76ers are all here.
Okay.
You know, it's there's
a
middle ground.
But one coach is way better than the other.
Embiid's a little bit higher?
Than Giannis? No.
No, but you said...
I just meant the stars as a whole. Like, it's just there's a difference between, Giannis being so much better than everybody.
Yeah.
Then there's that drop off. Then you get like the core of the 76ers. And then down here is the rest of the Bucks.
How much does the coach play into it? Because I think Bud is way better than
I think you for some reason you think that Brett Brown is literally a person
he's
with
wearing a dunce cap.
Yeah.
Well, he's at 30.
Drooling on the court.
Yeah, you think he's that stupid. Like, he's not that bad of a coach.
He's predictable.
Not that great when it comes to playoff situations. He got better last year.
Yeah, and that's more important than not being good 2 years ago. Like, I would rather have him be good last year and bad 2 years ago. It shows growth.
I would take Bud over Brett Brown in a best of 7. What?
He said it's better to be, bad 2 years ago and better last year. And I was like, it's the opposite of the Celtics.
Yeah, just be the Celtics and you could be 2. Yeah,
but Brad Stevens
is still an amazing, fantastic coach apparently, because he was able to take 18-year-olds to the NBA, the Eastern Conference Finals to get their ass whooped by fucking soon, LeBron,
and you're all going to be fucking shaking in your boots.
Christ, I will make my pick to be the
Nuggets.
To not be the Nuggets. I don't think the Nuggets will win the finals.
Save the Nuggets. Shock.
I think if I had to pick a team to win the finals, and we're doing our predictions next year. Or next week.
Yeah.
Next week.
I'm just spoiler. I would bet money on the team that's got the best players on.
That's a bold take, Dave.
Right? I'm really going on a ledge on this one. They got 2 top 5 players. They're gonna have to do a lot of work.
Is the Western Conference Finals gonna be the?
No, not the Celtics. The Bucks. The Bucks. It's the Bucks. It's the Bucks.
I was like, did he mean to say Clippers?
No, it's the Bucks. I was thinking green team. And then we were talking about the Clippers, so I thought the first is Green Sea.
Well, Doc Rivers used to be coach of the Celtics.
It's the Bucks. I think the Bucks are going to win the finals.
They got worse.
I got worse as well. Both on and off the court. How do they get that much worse? I'm forgetting who they lost.
Brogdon. Nico Mirotic.
I don't know if it's going to be that important, to be honest with you. I understand that Brogdon was a very important piece of that team.
Brogdon and Nico are both good shooters.
I think you're underrating how much of a step that Giannis can still take in his career and his game.
Can he win Most Improved Player again? After winning Most Valuable Player?
I think he could. I think he fucking could.
Why not both? I love that quote by him. Like when they're interviewing him.
Why not both?
And he's like, why not both?
I think he could be Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, and Most Improved Player as well.
Both takes are not yet, Sean. You gotta save that for Jake's show.
MVP and Most Improved Player. Damn.
All 3.
I mean like someone just winning MVP and Most Improved would be like mind blown to me.
Yeah,
it's probably happened before.
Has it?
Most Improved and MVP? No, I think MVP and defensive, yes.
Yeah.
But
I think that's
that's happened before. It was
2 times, 3 times.
I know Hakeem did it. Olajuwon, I think, was the last player to do Defensive Player of the Year.
Was Michael in that category?
No, Michael was never Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think Michael was. That's much easier to find than most
David
valuable
Robinson
player. Was
Kevin McHale?
Huh?
No, Kevin Garnett.
Oh, Kevin Garnett.
David Robinson and Kevin Garnett.
No,
but
in the same season. Same season. Hakeem did it.
Yeah, it was Jordan Hakeem.
That's what I thought. I thought Jordan in his early days.
Yeah, they both did. Jordan in 88. Yep. Hakeem in 94.
Oh, yeah, Jordan in 88.
Yeah.
Hakeem twice?
No.
Okay.
1994.
Gotcha. I don't know.
Took Jordan leaving the league.
About.
Just saying.
I don't think it was ever done where you won Most Improved Player. Yeah, no. None of these guys on this list are MVPs outside of Giannis, but it wasn't the year he won it.
You type in who has won MVP and MIP. Mm-hmm. The first name to show up is Ryan Anderson, won the award in the 2011-2012 season.
Well,
that's exactly what I was looking for. Thanks, Google.
Don't think that he won the MVP, but figure out next week if he will this year, as we are going to predict both the playoffs and the award winners, and we'll see if any Ryan Anderson lists and picks are popping up in MVP. We'll also be doing bold predictions as well next week with Jake. So my pick for finals will be Bucks. You are taking Clippers. You're taking the Clippers as well?
I'll take the Bucks.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Clippers earlier.
I said Bucks versus Clippers. Never gave a winner.
Well, there we go.
I'll take Bucks.
Spoilers.
All right. So those are our NBA final winners, and those are who we think probably the best teams in the league are. I would say top 3, Bucks, Clippers, 76ers. That'd be my top 3 with the Lakers and Nuggets being rounding out my top 5.
Bucks, Clippers, Lakers.
Clippers.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Dave.
And Jazz.
Want to give a shout out to patreon.com/mostofapodcast. You can be on a podcast by joining the Patreon fam at patreon.com/mostofapodcast at the gold tier. And if you do want to be on a podcast like Jake will be next week, you can check that out at patreon.com/mostofapodcast. I want to thank the MVP of this podcast in Dave Oster. Hashtag on the court.
Hashtag on the court.
He killed
Ricky.
it.
On the court.
I want to give a shout out to Jokeman of the Year and Ricky Widmer for hashtag on the
most
court.
improved podcast.
And I'll give myself the Brett Brown Ring That Bell Award for being the biggest dunce on this podcast. Shout out to you guys for listening and watching. We thank you, and we will see you next time.